Alrighty, so today we're going to be talking about the cost pricing approach. So what is the cost pricing approach? Basically, it's a pricing method that sets prices by calculating the total cost to make a product plus a desired profit margin. It is calculated using a formula, and the formula is price is equal to the cost plus the cost times the desired margin. Studies have also shown that companies use the cost price approach pretty frequently, but the only caveat is oftentimes it's used as a starting point, and then later the customer value information is analyzed and the price is adjusted. So only partially is the cost approach being used to calculate these prices. What are the pros and cons of a cost pricing approach? So the pros are that it's straightforward and an easy way to ensure consistent profit. It's easy to document, and price transparency appeals to customers and can attract a loyal customer base because of that transparency. Customers are more inclined to purchase and be loyal to these brands because of the trust that they have built. But the cons are that it needs to be reevaluated often because prices change and you want to make sure that you have the correct information to ensure you're making that profit. And it also doesn't account for the customer value, which can cause the prices to be too low or too high, and we'll discuss this later. So now let's look at Susan. She wants to start a business creating and selling her flower berets, and she has to come up with a price that is both profitable and reasonable. In order to do this, she decides she's going to use the cost pricing approach. So how do we apply this approach? First, she's going to need to list all the costs that are associated with creating her berets, and typically this is done by separating the direct costs and indirect costs. So her direct costs are about $5 a unit, and her indirect costs are $1,135 a month. And she also decides that she can realistically create about 1,000 units a month. So plugging this into this formula, we can see that it will cost her $6.14 per unit. That's how much it will cost to create them. And now we need to apply the profit margin. She decides that a reasonable profit margin is about 25%. So using the formula that we discussed previously, we get $7.68. So now Susan knows that in order to meet her desired profit and still be able to cover the costs of making the beret, she'll have to charge $7.68 per beret. So how does this apply in the real world? What situations does the cost approach affect? So in this situation, Susan's getting an inquiry from a local boutique and they want to sell her berets. They're requesting 2,000 units, but they are going to ask for a quantity discount because they are buying in bulk. Before Susan accepts or denies, she's going to want to recalculate the unit price to see if she can give that discount. So after replacing the 1,000 units with 2,000 units, she sees that she can sell them to the boutique for $6.96, and that is still while maintaining her 25% profit margin. She does decide that she's able to produce the 2,000 units. She has the capacity to do that, so she agrees and is going to do business with this boutique. This is based off of a concept called economies of scale, and that's basically where there's a cost advantage to producing more units. In Susan's situation, her fixed costs are being spread out thinner, so she's able to produce more product at a lower cost per unit and then sell it for a lower price while still making a profit. In this second scenario, we can see that Susan's going to market her products using a popular social media app, and she almost instantly becomes viral and sells out of all of her stock immediately. Now she's starting to realize that using the cost approach is causing her to miss out on possible profits because her products are valued at a very highly and people are willing to pay more for them. So because of this, she adjusts her price to reflect the beret's demand. And this is very characteristic of what a lot of companies are having to do. They're using this cost price approach as a starter, as a base, and then they're having to adjust it because the value is going to be different. And both of these scenarios show that pricing is dynamic and it needs to be reevaluated and it needs to be adjusted and changed and reviewed constantly in order for it to be effective. And these are my sources. Thank you very much.